Now we're going to talk about fall off and what we need to do to set up fall off so we can control exactly where the particles are flowing. All right, so again, I'm going to make a 2D container, and I'm going to go ahead and create an emitter with it. And I'm just going to move this down just a bit, just so we have a little space to work. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and let this play for a second. Now, what I'd like to do is, let's say, only render this little area. That's the only area that I want to have a particle simulation. Why would this be useful? Well, let's say I had it inside of an object and I had it masked off. Well, I don't want it to show through any of the other areas, just where I need it to be represented. So it's almost like I want to lay a mask on top of this. Well, here's some important things to remember. First, rewind. Because if you leave it as is, you'll see by default when we go in and paint our paint fluids tool, by default it says set auto initial state. So if I paint right now, this is where it will start. Okay, so we don't want that. So I'm going to rewind this, and I'm going to set the paintable attributes to fall off, and I'll make sure that the object is selected. And let me just lower this depth here. All right, so let's say I only want the particles to show up. Ooh, look what happened. The minute I clicked, it says, wait a minute, your fall off is not set to dynamic. If you want to paint this in, you got to set it to dynamic. No problem. We'll set it to dynamic. And I'm going to paint just a squiggly. So essentially, all I'm asking the system to do is render the particles within this little fall off area. Okay? Here's the problem. Let me go ahead and click once to get out of here, and I'll play this back. Okay, great. I set it up, but it doesn't work. And if I look, my fall off is now set to static grid, so that, yep, that's working. But I don't see my fall off happening inside of my scene. Well, for your fall off to work, what you actually need to do is go down to the shading tab, come all the way down about midway, and where it says drop off shape, right now it's a cube. What we're going to do is change that to use the fall off grid. Now you notice that the fall off grid is the shape that I painted in. So only that shape will be rendered out. It's almost like a mask. Now you do have the ability to feather that in and choke that down a little bit to soften it. Now, it's not a collision, right? So it's not moving around this. It really is just like a mask. It's controlling the fall-off area. So, again, I wanted to expose you to that, show you where it is and how to set it up, because it could really, really save you a lot of time when you're just wanting to isolate a certain part of the fluid simulation to render out.